Tom Eastman here at the Sun TV at the studio of the Conway Daily Sun in North Conway. And we have a special guest this morning. I love cross-country skiing, and we have one of our leaders of the cross-country ski scene of the Mount Washington Valley, Doug Garland. Morning, Doug.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, it's been a challenging year, but January's been pretty good, and now we're heading into February vacation week.
Yep.
What do you got for ski conditions up there?
Our conditions are surprisingly good. You know, we've had, Mother Nature's been stingy this year, without a doubt, and it has been a challenging winter. But one of the things that we appreciate about our location is that we're located in what we call the Bartlett Village Snow Belt.
The snow belt.
Yeah, and it actually occurs because of this haystack range that is right behind us. When you come up to the touring center, you'll see it. It stands right in your face. And it's almost like a windbreak that as on the leeward side, the snow drops back in. And so it's just like when you have a snow fence, the back side of the snow fence picks up the snow.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that works out really well for us on two different levels. Not only does it give us a little bit more snow than the average areas around here, but it also provides us excellent wind protection. So we retain our snow well, and that even on a windy day like yesterday was, people go out and
was it a bit windy yesterday? Yeah, I think they had gusts of 45 miles an hour, Ed Bergeron said this morning.
Yes, it was. It was very windy, particularly last night. But if they get into the wind-protected trail network, unfortunately our parking lot is not wind protected. But if less than 5 minutes away, as soon as you head up the waterfall trail, the wind goes over your head. If you go ski the waterfall trail, East Albany Brook, and the experimental forest trails, you're just about going to forget it's a windy day until you return back down to our parking lot.
I remember skiing there about 10 years ago on such a day, and it sounded like a freight train was roaring above our heads because of the wind going through the tops of the trees. But they're in the protected terrain. This is in Bartlett, by the way, and in the protected terrain, it was great skiing, doing number 5 trail where you do the horseshoe around Albany Brook, and then it's this beautiful, just double poling downhill on that part, and so we were completely protected. So, and about the snow belt, I can attest. You go up to Bartlett, and the snowbanks are higher than even in down here in North Conway.
No, and it's a major advantage, and it is. Back, well, history-wise, that's one of the reasons that John and I started this business.
And when was that?
1995. You know, my family's
been around. So you're coming up on the big anniversary next year.
Yes, and our family's been around for like 7 generations. I'd be the 7th generation. You know.
7.
So we've had this property for years in the family. For years, they ran a cabin business in the summer, but you pay taxes year-round, and you have to find something to do with your property. So John's the one that actually was the driving force on this, thought we should start a cross-country business. And what happened is...
Was he a cross-country skier at Kennett?
Yes.
Or a downhiller?
Both. Okay. But he did do cross-country also, and ski jumping. He did it all.
And what about you?
I did cross-country 1 year down at Kennett, and I primarily was a downhill skier. Okay. I've been a skier for my whole life. I mean, since whenever. I worked at Attache as a ski patrol for years. You know, skiing's been a portion of our family's life since we're big enough to stand up, basically. You know, and it's been an evolutionary situation, I'd say. You know, we started out way back when they first did it in 1995. Like I said, we started kind of out of no man's land. We were the only place around that had any snow that particular year. And we groomed out a section of our upper meadow area that is now. And actually the Daily Sun covered us as being one of the only places around with any skiing whatsoever. You know, and that gave us a little shot in the arm, without a doubt. We appreciated that. What we did the first year is we had a donation box. We did not have a warming station. We didn't have anything, but up in what we call the East Pasture now, we set up a donation box and plowed a parking lot. And the donation box had suggestions on one side and donate what you think on the other side. And that worked out well, particularly because there was no skiing anywhere else. But what we had then was basically the Albany Brook network, up to down Waterfall Trail. And that was a good ski. The suggestions were, they loved it, but they wanted, first of all, more trails. somewhere we want some exciting downhill, deathly defying trails, and a facility. So, the following season, we did open up what was on the farm. We grew up on a dairy farm. What was called the granary, we turned into what is now known as the warming station, warming hut.
Yeah.
And in that area there now, we have provisions for soups and breads on a daily basis.
Homemade soups, right?
Well, the bread's homemade.
Okay.
The soup we prepare,
chili
but they taste like
there's always
homemade.
chili, and
Yes.
I was there 2 weeks ago, and I was so happy to see it back, because during COVID, you had stopped that, right? And now it's
Yes.
all back. So headline news: the soups are back.
It is true. That is, because it's such a cozy setting.
Yeah.
In a cozy, very close and familiar setting. And obviously that didn't work out during COVID.
Right.
So we unfortunately had to close the warming station for a couple of years, just because of the COVID problems. But luckily, yes, and now it's open. People are back. They're happy. They love the bread. The smell of the homemade bread just makes people excited. And so that was the second year we started with that, and then we incorporated in rentals, both ski and snowshoe. We have a huge fleet of cross-country skis, skate and classical, and about 30 pairs of snowshoes that we rent out on a regular basis. So we ended up being a full-service touring center. And 28 years later, I think it probably shows.
I remember going up there when I was writing for the Mountaineer. My brother Steve and I did the Mountaineer and staff, and I just loved the laid back, the farmhouse sense of it and everything.
Well, that is what we go for, and our skiers appreciate that. You come up for a vacation, you're looking to get a little relaxing time. The downhillers are now kind of busy. They're hubbubby. If you come up to Bear Notch, you're going to find a very laid-back atmosphere.
And where is it located? If people are watching this going, where is Bear Notch? Where Attitash is, so where are you in relation to Attitash?
3.7 miles west on Route 302.
So if you're heading up to Bretton Woods, you go right by it.
Yeah. Yes, you do. There's a blinking light in the center of Bartlett. 1 mile beyond the blinking light, we're right on the left-hand side of the road. You'll see an old farmhouse with an American flag on the porch. That's where you get your tickets, your rentals. You drive out back of the warming station, and that's where you park. And you can just come on in, set up your boots or whatever. Like I say, everything we do is basically on an honor system. Right. We are a cash and check business. We don't do credit cards, but we will extend credit. If people show up and they don't happen to have anything but a credit card, we allow them to mail us a check later. Sounds like a foolish idea, but it actually works out. When you trust people, it creates an atmosphere of trust.
And I think people, if they are from the city, they can't believe when they go in the warming hut and there's the soup and it says $5, and people just put their money in a cup and make their own change, and it works great. So talk about why do you think it's a magical place? I can tell you why I think it is, but what is the magic of the place?
Well, it's a terrain to start with. We are blessed with the property that we have. We operate on quite a bit of our own private property, but we do internet through the experimental forest. We deal with the state of New Hampshire. We deal with Attitash Lift Corporation. And so to get the 60 kilometers all done, some of it is on other people's property or uses connectors. But on the western end of the network, which is where our property is primarily, you have probably the best river trail available in the valley. There's a Saco River Trail right now, Trail 30, that leads you down to the village. It's right there. You come down and Saco River's right there. It's really an audio visual. You've got great views of the panoramic mountains.
So if you're heading up 302 and the farmhouse is on the left, but you're talking about the terrain on the right side when you're heading toward Bretton Woods. It's all the beautiful wide open fields. It's great for skate skiing. It's great for beginners. It's you cross the railroad tracks and get out to the river and see Mount Stanton. And
that's Kerrigan. Your view of Kerrigan is outstanding. Signal Ridge and Kerrigan, from down on Trail 30, which is the river trail. Your views are fantastic. It's just it's hard to. And the good part about that is beginners can access it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an expert skier to get out there and do that.
Very gentle terrain, and so whether you're classic skiing or skate skiing. You've got that beautiful pasture there that you have a nice loop around.
Yes.
That's great if you want to get in some skate skiing laps, but otherwise you just go down to the river. And I remember my sister and I were skiing there a couple years ago, and I think we heard an owl, and it just flew over our heads.
Oh, yeah.
And so the nature of it is right at your fingertips, it seems.
That would be one of the other reasons we think it's special. It's very pristine. You know, pileated woodpeckers aren't a rarity to hear those. You see where they've been working on the trees all the time. It is very pristine network. And that's one of the reasons why we started this business, is that we had all this property. You pay taxes all the time. What are we going to do with it? You know, do we want to develop it and become a millionaire or something?
Oh,
no. So John and I decided that we would make the property work for us somewhat. And that's what we do in the winter. You know, I really have to kind of say that we are actually owned by the business more than the business owns that we own the business.
That's true, because you both do the grooming, but John really does the grooming. But what kind of hours does he put in? Do you guys work different shifts?
We do different shifts, and we do different areas. I do primarily Yates Farm Network. John does primarily the rest of it.
And where is Yates Farm for people watching in relation?
Yates Farm is actually down, if you take the river trail down, it's on the other side of Saco River.
On the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, on the other side of Saco River Bridge. And that's a unique, it's off the beaten path, just a little bit off of the regular portions of our network. It is good to have intermediate skills for the beginning of it, because it has some nice rolling hills. But then it goes down into the pastoral fields, and you're looking back up through. So it is a network by itself.
Is that your mom's old house?
Yes, that is. Yeah. Right down, and I live over in that neighborhood.
You live there now.
So that's why I grew them there.
And again, but there is some good flat terrain there for skate skiers.
It is. Really there's another huge field over there, and I've laid a bunch of skate loops in that field. There's actually 2 or 3 fields, and I've made loops back and forth. So once you get into the groove, one of our instructors just absolutely loves it, because first of all, you get the exciting hills rolling up and down.
Right.
Then you get down into the flats, and you can work those loops as long as you want. You know, and a good skate skier will put on some mileage down there, and then you get the advantage of coming back up over those hills again and back through, and it just gives you a little bit of everything. You know, I mean, I'm proud of our trail system, which we call to it in its general. But out of our trail system, we have Yates Farm Network. We have what we consider the Eastern Trail Network. We have Albany Brook Network.
Which is beautiful.
Bartlett Brook Network, if you like to get out a little bit further out through there. So our whole trail system, we call it, is made up of several different networks that ski so nice. Even by themselves, you'd be impressed. Once you put them together, it's fantastic.
So if you go through the covered bridge at the farmhouse, and you head up on Albany Brook on the right side of it, right?
You're going to go up Waterfall Trail, and
you go by describe that trip. You come to the waterfall house, or what do you call that hut?
It's a summer house. The cabin business has had that for generations. But it's a summer house. It's a screened-in place, but it's right beside the waterfalls.
And I love to ski across the bottom of the waterfall. It's beautiful. It's flowing down, and it's always big news when the snow bridge it's open.
And right away, that's what is nice about our network, is that we're talking less than 5 minutes. You're talking maybe 2 minutes from when you leave, put on your skis, you're already seeing stuff that's fantastic. And then Trail 2 is a very gentle, beginner-friendly trail. Trail 2 to 5, even though there's some small hills involved, anybody that can do a snowplow can ski those trails easily. And
your ski school will teach you if you don't know how to do that.
Well, yes, certainly we promote Learn to Ski package, which, for first-timers, you certainly can go out and shuffle your way to the river and whatever you want to do. But the proverbial statement of starting off on the right foot is it good to take your beginner lesson, because it's not a complicated sport, but it's very similar to everything else. Until it's explained to you, you can spend some time trying to find out what's right and what's wrong. And unfortunately, in the process of that, you might set up some bad habits. It's better off to start off right on your first time out, get yourself a learn to ski lesson. The instructors are very informative, very friendly. They will let you know after you're done with the lesson what portions of the network you probably can ski. You know, different people have different ability, pick it up differently, but I can guarantee they probably can get down to the river and get to see the Saco River.
And who do you have as instructors now? Sue Tuttle?
Sue Tuttle's running that program right now, and she has a couple, Melissa and Chris, help her out. Chris does our skate skiing for us, and Chris Bridges.
And is that all by appointment?
Yes, on lessons right now, we still are doing it by appointment. We do not staff our instructors there full time. So what happens, the system is you call up, preferably at least a day ahead, and you say, I want a lesson at next time or whatever. We call up the instructor, set it up, and they meet there at that point in time.
And that's 603-374-2277.
What a memory.
Man, not that I don't call you every week.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm the idiot savant. They call me the human Google in the office. But anyway, I'll be repeating those numbers as a 90-year-old man on a street corner, I'm sure. But the beauty when you get up past that waterfall house, you're climbing when you're doing it counterclockwise.
Yes.
You're climbing. But then you get up to the height of land, and that's by the Bartlett Experimental Forest at that point.
Yep.
I'm telling you, the views that you can see from up at the height of land, and that stretch where you
19, Trail 19.
Yeah, and then when you're coming down, the Forest Service did a clear cut up there, so the views that opened up there are tremendous looking.
It is amazing. You know, clear cuts sound like a bad idea sometimes to most people, but since we've evolved, Trail 19 used to be forested, and it was a nice trail, had real excellent wind protection and everything. Everybody enjoyed it. Well, once they did the cutting, you have a panoramic view of the Montalban Range, and snow still moves right in there, and it's outstanding.
On a bluebird day, I'm telling you, it's you just on a nice this time of year now, February and March, you go up there and wearing basically what we're wearing now, and you just breathe it in. It's New Hampshire.
And then when you're coming back down, you'll skip Trail 2 because you just went up it and swing over to the Albany Brook Network, and then you've got another clear cut over there they just did a year or two ago and once again. Great views. You know, you're skiing down through and you're just looking all over the place, and it's just gorgeous.
And then you just, if you're a skate skier, it's a nice switchbacks, and you come out down at 302.
Yep.
Luckily, you do have to stop. I mean, you do have to know how to stop there. But that's fantastic. And then depending on the day, if it's windy, you stay in the woods. If it's a beautiful just spring day, you head across to the river and breathe it in. So
and this time of year we started to shovel out. We had that warm spell just a while ago, so we shoveled off the picnic tables so people can actually sit around the fields and eat their lunch. You know, it gets to be so nice out. You don't even want to be in the warming station. Right. You can grab your soup and come back out. You know, but so it just but the picnic tables on a beautiful day. You're sitting there just looking at the haystack ranges, and it's so relaxing.
And it's good, and it's great for the economy of Bartlett Village, what you guys have done to have a thriving business. And tell me about, you wanted to talk about the great job that John, your brother, does for the grooming. What you told me yesterday in an interview for February Vacation Week about what's going on in the Valley. You said it's not just it's not just grooming, it's when you groom and how you groom. So what do you mean about that?
Well, it's really an art. When you ask what hours John works, it's dictated by Mother Nature. You know, she's really our biggest primary stockholder is Mother Nature. You know, she has more to do with our business than anybody. But what happens there is you have to make decisions. You know, there's certain days anybody can go grooming, and if it was simple, anybody could go do it. But there are days, and we've had a lot of them lately, where you go through a freeze-thaw cycle, or you've just got yourself a wet day, and you're trying to make decisions on what to do it with. So what we have now is a complement of a variety of groomers. You know, we have the piston bully, which with a renovator, which on an icy or hard day, you go out there, and that'll take down and renovate and till and leave your track out of virtually just about ice. You can turn back into like a nice loose granular. But a lot of times, you want to travel light and faster. And so we have the Ginzus and we have the Tid-Tex. And so what John's decision is, it's not only when to start grooming, is what implement is really going to work out the best. Yeah. Sometimes it's not the most expensive one. You know, sometimes it's the one that hits that one condition just right. And grooming, quite often, if you can get it done quicker, your time span is limited of when you can groom. You know, on springtime, you can't groom after 10 o'clock in the morning or any, because it's too soft. But you also can't groom at 4 o'clock at night because it'll just set up too hard. You know, and you can groom it, it'll look perfect, but it'll be just ice in the morning. Yeah. So you're usually out there, I'd say an average time is 2 o'clock in the morning, somewhere between midnight and 2. He'll be up assessing the situation, and then he gets out there and does what he can. And he does an excellent job. 28 years later, he seemed to have learned something.
And the tagline is, let us make
a Bear Notch believer out of you.
And they do it by the great grooming and I like when you tell me when we have the challenging times, you're all about quantity or equality. You're about quality, right?
And that is true. When we have, and today might be a good example of it. Last night's winds knocked down an awful lot of debris and things like that. We have to clean up that debris before we can actually groom, or otherwise you just groom the debris into it. So the grooming today is slow. So what we will do is it's going to be quality over quantity. But what we like to think is that by going in that route, we make skiing so nice you don't mind skiing it twice. You know, it's better than spreading yourself so thin that you give a half decent product everywhere. Right. It's better to have a high quality product on a limited amount of terrain. At least that's our policy.
Well, I've never had a bad day skiing there at Bear Notch, and the hospitality is so laid back. You guys always treat, you know, my sister and her family come up, my niece Sophie Rose, I was happy to see that the drawing that she did of the Bear Notch bear
she's still
when
there.
she was 8, she's 17 now and going to Phillips Exeter, but she used to get at she's a driven kid, she's a lacrosse, but she would lead at the start of our group, and I usually would be the leader, and she'd go, I'm going first. So I think what I saw in her at Bear Notch, I think has proven she's a star athlete, she's a star student, and she's a musician, so at Phillips Exeter. So we owe it to Bear Notch.
Well, thank you. And we like to think of as a very family-friendly place.
It is.
You know, we got the women's station, and we've got all these printed out congratulations from the rec department, you know, all these things that, you know, because we do a lot for the community.
What do you do with the school, with the East Slope Ski Club?
Yep, they come up weekly. We also have a rec department now that does a ski program that comes up a second day of the week. So I think we got like 14 kids in that right now, and it's fun to watch them get off the bus. You know, they're pent up after a day of school, and they're just out there just like a bunch of puppy dogs having a great time.
And it is fun to watch. And it's a lifetime sport, so you introduce them to skiing at an early age, and it's just great.
Well, that's partly because, you know, I grew up in this valley. ESSC was a portion of my life. If it was not for ESSC, I might not have been an alpine skier whatsoever. And that was an opportunity that was granted to us once a week. And I found that I'm very grateful for it. So we would like to continue that. And, you know, you're living in this valley, you should be able to go skiing.
Well, that's what Herbert Schneider always said at Cranmore, and you look at the legions of Olympians that were produced from Cranmore, and we've had local Olympians, Carl Swenson, 3-time Olympian. We've had Marcus Nash.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, well, keep up the great work. And is there anything you would like to tell people about?
Well, I guess pricing-wise, I guess we are like to be family-oriented, so it's important that people realize 16 and under will ski free with a paying adult. We also have reasonably priced season passes, and we have this other thing that people seem to like quite a bit. If they don't want to commit to the season pass, it's just what we call, it's a punch card. It's a frequent skier card, has 10 punches on it. It never expires. It's also transferable to somebody else.
Oh, fantastic.
So no matter when you get this, and some of them had them for a couple of years, it's for the person, if you're going to ski 10 times more a year, you should have a season pass. If you think you might not ski 10 times a year and you want to carry it over to the next year, you would buy what we call the frequent skier pass.
And you also do sales as well as rentals?
We have a lot of equipment up there, actually. We're a little overstocked now, so people like to come by.
You carry what, Rossignol?
Rossignol, yeah. And we have the OT ski, which has a metal edge on portion of it, is a very popular ski, and I've ordered up a bunch of those. So if people want to get that ski, come on up. We give great prices.
And then toward the end of the season, you always have a sale, right?
Yes, on our used, slightly used cross-country rentals. We like to keep our rental fleet fresh, so it's nice to rotate it. We'd like to think we can rotate it at least within 3 years. And people are impressed with our equipment. When they come up there and rent something, they say, wow, this is some of the best looking rentals we've ever had. And that's, we believe that people, even if you're renting, deserve to have a decent ski.
And I wanted to, being a historian, I wanted to bring up, you and I had a great conversation as you were helping me. I couldn't get in my boots. You helped me out with the nice care, but we got talking about New Hampshire history and our family history. And what we determined, Stephen Eastman was from the Concord area, and he fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill as a drummer boy. And your response was?
Well, Richard Garland helped transport cannons from Concord, New Hampshire down to Bunker Hill.
So they had to know each other.
Yeah.
So here we are, 250 years later, 260 years later, and I just love the connections of New Hampshire. It's 2 degrees of separation. It's not 6, you know. And so how did that relate to the property? Through the Revolutionary War, did you?
They did get a grant from that there. It's what Garland Ridge. It's not the actual dairy farm that we are on now. Was not part of the grant, but down toward, well, it's actually the property that Bear Peak is on, was our family's property at one point. And that got bought out back when Attitash was developing, but it was not Attitash. It was the Seaboards, as I think. There was going to be a different mountain, and it didn't succeed. So Attitash bought them out, and it became part of Attitash Bear Peak.
Bear Peak.
Yep, that's the Bear Peak part.
So I love that history. The other thing, when you go to the warming hut, if you have studied White Mountain School of Art of the 19th century, there's a painting that Shapley did, and I saw it up in Jackson, and I went, other than the pool table, it's the barn, and it's looking out where a door used to be to your farmhouse, which I always tell people of a certain age, they'll get this. If you remember the Crosby, Stills and Nash first album cover, where they're sitting on the porch of a farmhouse, I went, that's the Bear Notch base. It looks like it. It's not. But anyway, the laid-backness approach of you just go up there and you're part of the Bear Notch family. So my
mother was very, very, which I consider her the Bartlett historian. At that point, she was librarian forever, but she was very proud of that picture.
Oh yeah, so you ought to check it out. It's a picture. Shapley specialized in interiors with the outdoors, looking out to the blue sky and all that. So you're part of history when you come up to Bartlett, and you get to ski it and believe it and feel it. And it's I just can't say enough about all of our touring in the valley. We're lucky to have great skiing, and then we have the National Forest. So if you're up here for February vacation week, you pick the right spot to come to.
That's right. It's a lot of variety.
So thanks very much. And I'm Tom Eastman, Doug Garland, and Bear Notch. How do people find out about you?
They can go on our website. It's probably the best way right now, www.bearnotchskitouring.com. And I post conditions there generally by 7, hopefully by 8 every day. So if people want current conditions, they can do that, or they're more than welcome to call up our phone number, which is
603-374-2277.
Good job.
All right. You got me well trained. All right. So thanks very much, and get out there and have a great February vacation week. Looks like this is being taped on Thursday, and we're supposed to get 5 inches. Unlike up in Bartlett, you might get more.
Yeah, that's right. We'll let you know tomorrow morning.
Yeah. So it's shaping up to be a great week, and our cover story in Saturday's edition is all about all the activities that are going on February vacation week here in the Valley of the Big George, Mount Washington.
There you go.
Okay, thanks very much, Doug.
Thank you. Have a good day.